So, there's a stat that we've been getting really wrong.
What about hello everybody? Oh, sorry.
You want to start with that? Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Thank you for joining us. My name is Sully. I am the host of the Uncovering Greatness podcast. And today I'm joined by Mr. Baron Mitchell, Mr. Traveler, Mr. Africa.
Oh man.
Barry is the lead trainer at Uncovering Greatness. What he helps you do is run your business properly, run a damn business correctly, do the right things, sell like a beast, and hold yourself accountable. That's what he does, and he makes you uncomfortable. I like that, actually. That's a good intro.
Hello, Sully.
And he's also an author. Forgot to tell you that one.
Sure.
You're an author.
I am.
You write a book. You are an author, published author.
3 books.
Whew. You see, I'm going to brag. Okay, so the stat that we've been getting wrong is the stat around small businesses in South Africa. 65% of them fail in the first 2 years.
Yep.
That goes up to 80
In 500
years.
Yeah, and 100. No.
After that.
18. But a stat I've worked on for many years, and a global statistic, is that between 8 to 10 years, 5% of all small businesses will survive. That's the sort of thinking. But those stats are 65%.
65% in 2 years, first 2 years. By year 5, that number climbs to 80%.
Yes, 100%.
And that's South Africa. We're not talking about the rest of Africa yet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a crazy number.
Yeah.
What do you think that is down to?
It's simple, Chum. That's very simple.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's because no one gave me money.
Mm-hmm.
The economy sucks.
Yep.
The government sucks.
Yep.
Where I grew up sucks.
Mm-hmm.
What other? Oh no.
It was all good.
Sorry, I'm being facetious. No, but the reality is that's why many people think businesses are failing, is because sure, does the government contribute to the economy and create an environment? Yes, of course they do, and all those things create part of the reason, but I think there's a fundamental reason.
Yeah.
We're not taught to build businesses. It's very simple.
So would you say it's a thinking thing?
Yeah, correct. People are not. Where were you taught to build a business?
Nowhere.
You go to school. School is the only freaking place in the world where you go to school to learn how to make money from people who are largely broke.
Did I ever tell you that once?
And I grew up in a household. My mum was a school teacher. Wonderful people. But we get taught this mindset of go to school so you can learn, so you can make money.
Yeah.
And then people get frustrated in their job and think, oh, if I start a business, look, I have a degree or I have lots of talent, I'll be able to build a business.
I should be able to.
And then they treat the business like a job.
Ooh.
Rock up and work hard. Well, for many people, sadly, they don't do that in their job anymore, but that's what you should do. You should rock up and apply yourself, and the fun, that's the core reason why people fail, Sully, is my belief and my observation is that we are not taught to run a business, and then people do not go and invest in how to run a business and do not go on a journey of learning to run a business.
Do you think like you see that more, especially like how the world's now dramatically shifted from an internet perspective, from a digital perspective?
Yeah.
Do you think now we're seeing way more people starting up a business because, so I'm a young kid, I've just come out of varsity, I've got the next best Elon Musk idea, I'm going to do it.
Everyone has the next best Elon Musk idea. You know what happens to it? One, you got to get out and put it in the market.
Yeah.
The principles are still the same. The hurdles you have got to overcome are different.
Okay.
So, but I mean, the amount of times I meet people that, I say to them, they have a startup business, and you talk them through and you go, it's going to get tough. And you can see this, like, how do you mean? What do you know? You can see them thinking, what do you know? I have this great idea. I'm smart. I'm going to be styling in a year's time and make it. and then and that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot of times I don't. It's not the knowledge. It's not the information. It's not lack of information. It's the mindset. It's the mindset required to build a business. You need a different mindset. One, you need to create a mindset where you're prepared to make mistakes and take risks. Not stupid risks, but you've got to be prepared to take risks. The average employee is not prepared to take a risk.
No.
You rock up every day, you have some security, you get paid at the end of the month. If you do something, generally you're not going to make any decisions in most employee levels that are going to cost the business.
Yeah. You're not going to risk it. Yeah.
Whereas a business owner, you suddenly own your business. Well, you have to pay yourself. You have to make some decisions that could cost you everything. Good. So you got to create the mindset of being a business owner. There's a different mindset to being a business owner. And there's a different mindset to being self-employed and generating income on your own, and then moving into building a team, and then moving into creating. So it's that the life cycle of growing your business depends on the capacity you can grow.
So how do I get that mindset? Because we have the whole thing of not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur or business owner. Those people are bored. They're not. So how do you get?
I think it's an interesting one. I think anyone can be a business owner.
Okay.
Business owners are set of learned skills. It's growing yourself. It's following a model, following a system. I think anyone can do that. I honestly do. I don't know, you want to start a glass sales business, or let's say a water sales business. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Can you find other people that have done water sales businesses? Can you research how to run a water sales business? Can you go on courses to learn processes and structures, and you can learn all those sort of things, and then you apply them.
Yeah.
And it's in the applying that it's going to get tough, and that your mindset. But you can do that. You don't need. There's no preclusion. Like, no one's going to say to you can't have a water business because you don't have a degree. Because if you need someone with a degree, like an accountant, you can hire them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? You can. So to be an entrepreneur, I think is at times a different set of skills, because entrepreneurs are creators and visionaries. Mm-hmm. They see and create stuff. I come out of this world. I do not believe entrepreneurs and business people are the same thing. Business owners.
Okay.
I think there's a very small part of the world that are real, true entrepreneurs. Kelly Ritchie, one of my mentors, taught me this many years ago. He said, an entrepreneur is someone who creates something from nothing. Most business owners are not creating something from nothing. Yes, they don't own a business and they create a business. That's not what we're talking about. When he says create something from nothing, they identify real problems in the world.
Yeah.
And then they find and create solutions that will solve those problems that don't exist. Once they do that, those businesses start developing. That's when your business owners start coming out of it. Ray Kroc, yes, there was hamburgers, but Ray Kroc saw something and created McDonald's, which from there on spurned into a multi-trillion-dollar franchise industry. Why? Yeah. Because what he saw was systemization. He didn't invent the burger, but he created systemization, systemization, duplication, and scale. He was the real entrepreneur in McDonald's. If you go and buy a McDonald's, you go to McDonald's, you buy a franchise, you're not an entrepreneur.
No,
because you're not going to create something from nothing. In fact, they don't want you creating. They don't want you to be creative. What they want is, Sully, here's the business model. Now go and listen to what we tell you to do and go run the business model. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Be a business owner. Yeah. Learn how to be financially astute. Learn financial intelligence. Learn how to manage your money. Learn how to manage people. So you want to be way less entrepreneurial. You want to be very business mindset. Okay. In fact, very entrepreneurial people create chaos in their businesses, because they're always seeing new things and changing things. Mm. What you want is a business owner that runs the business.
Somebody who knows sort of how to follow a system, a process. And
when you look at the success of uncovering greatness, I'm an entrepreneur. I see things and create stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm very entrepreneurial in that space. So over the years I've created lots of things. But my weakness has been running the business, the day-to-day installation. I can see the need for processes. I teach processes. I understand why they're important. I hold space, but it's the continuity. My business, once I started getting it going, the real success came when Nicole really came in and became the business owner. She runs the business.
Yeah.
You hear me? I don't run my business. She runs the business. And she doesn't, she's not always thinking about new ideas and how we can do stuff. In fact, what she's doing is going, right, let's stick to the system and run the system.
It's true.
And between the two of us, we make really good business partners, but she's the business owner. I'm the entrepreneur, if that makes sense. There's a time when my ideas have to come in, but there's also a time when she says, whoa, stop, we can't do that
Too
now.
much too soon.
And I've got to understand that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you can see it. So you can see 3 years from now, this is what's gonna happen. Da 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 da. And she goes, oh, cool. Don't let go of it.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the year.
100%.
Yeah.
Which I understand because I teach that and I understand how important it is.
Yeah.
So I am comfortable getting into that process. So go back to your statistic. Why do so many people fail? Yeah, I just go back to that. I think owning a business and running a business is just such a misunderstood thing for people. So people work in a business and think they can own a business. No, because you work in a business doesn't mean you know how to run a business. Doesn't mean you own a business. Because your mindset is so different. When you become a business owner, you're the business owner.
Yeah.
Everything that happens in that business is your responsibility.
Yeah.
You employ your first person, they're your responsibility. When you work in a company for somebody else, it's not yours. Yes, you can take responsibility, but it's not your responsibility. If that business goes bang, you pack up, find another job.
Yeah.
When you're a business owner and your business goes bang, a lot of times you lose everything with it. You just get up and say, hey guys, bye, I'm out of here. I don't like working here anymore, I'm gone. You can't because you got so much vested in it.
Yeah.
And I think people look at it and go, hey, I'll just start a business, I'll be a millionaire next year. Stop kidding yourself, man. Hey, honestly, and I think that's the deal, is people are not connected to the reality of what being a business owner is. And in today's world and we talked about it on our last podcast, today's world of social media and all the hype and I call it the bullshit that people make out to be business owner and you could just create this. People aren't telling the truth. It is a friggin' damn hard thing to do. It's worth it, man. But as long as you know it's hard, as long as you know you're going to have to work through the hard stuff of getting the lessons that you need to get. I was with a client earlier and it was their 5th birthday today. 5 years ago, they started their business and I did a little 2-hour session with them. And I said to their team, I don't think you guys understand, to get to 5 years, what an incredible achievement it is.
80% fail. 80%
80% of bang in South Africa by year 5. So you're sitting in a small 20%. That is massive.
That is, huh?
Yeah. So people don't. So they go into, I've got this great idea. I'm going to make money. I need to make money. It's going to start, and they don't prepare themselves mindset wise for how tough it's going to be. And it's pushing through and growing yourself. That's why 50% of everything that we teach is around mindset, around little voice mastery, around growing who you are, about being able to handle heat and pressure. Because the more heat and pressure you can handle, the better you equip yourself for your business. I say this, as the business owner, I need to be the right person in my business. I can hire people that can do stuff.
Yeah.
But when we hit COVID, and I say this, not who pulled us through the business.
No, it was you.
Okay, but not who did all the work. Who when we hit the tough piece, went, okay, this is how we have to handle it. This because I was big enough in that moment in my being to be able to go, okay, what do we need to do? I wasn't sure what we need to do.
Yeah.
We all came up with ideas, but it was in the pushing of doing it. Does that make sense? Because if I had have crumbled, well, everyone else would have quit.
Toast.
You would have quit. Everyone else would have quit, and we would have been toast. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's and so I think as to run a business, it's people first up. They underestimate the mindset that you need to build.
So firstly, I wouldn't have quit. I would have waited for you to come up with your next idea and then jumped into that.
Well, fortunately, you're vested in the business. So
Yeah.
But that's what happens in businesses. If you're not big enough as a business owner to push through, people jump off the ship.
And you know the thing is, what I also realized though is like the importance of having a leader with such a big being, because you lose that. For me at least, and I can speak for myself, you lose the fear of what if. Right. So I knew that I wasn't concerned about what if, because I was like, I know that the leader that I have is going to get us to where we need to get to.
And at that stage, we didn't. We had an idea of where we wanted to get to, but didn't know because we'd never been through that process again.
100%.
So, how many businesses have leaders that are losing their shit?
Yeah, too many.
And that are not there, and then because
So
they're
hard
not
for your
they're
teams
not
to work.
working, they're not generally not working on themselves.
Mm.
You know, and then you take new business owners who have this, and I think it is a thing in South Africa, and it's a thing largely in parts of Africa that I spend time in, is have this unrealistic expectation and idea of what a business is. And that if I start a business, and all people that have businesses have lots of money and make it, so I need a business. And you know, I hear this saying, oh, you know, we work for a business, and oh, it's we make the business owner rich. I'm like,
Oof.
what? You have got no frigging connection with reality, because 80% of those business owners that you make rich have already failed.
Yeah.
And the business owner that you are making rich has walked a journey that for most employees they wouldn't even contemplate going through. And if that business owner didn't walk that journey, you wouldn't have the job in that business. If that business owner didn't take a risk 5 years, 10 years, 18 years ago does it make sense?
Yeah.
If I didn't take, and I say that if I didn't take a risk 19 years ago to sign a franchise agreement and starting working with Blair Singer and put everything I had online, you wouldn't be sitting here.
No.
It doesn't mean you wouldn't be working somewhere else, but you wouldn't be sitting here.
No.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And so you go back, you go, okay, now, does it mean you haven't contributed to us growing this business? No, you have immensely. And I appreciate that, as you know. But it's this level of exchange.
Yes.
So people think, oh, you know, without us, this business would die. No. Without you, the business owner would find other people.
He's been there before.
There's not a shortage of people wanting to work.
Yeah.
Oh, no, let me rephrase it. There's not a shortage of people who want jobs. There's a shortage of people who really want to work.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. But even then, there's not a shortage, because you'll find the people. You'll find the people. You build them up.
Yeah.
It becomes another block in the road.
Something else you just have to learn from and grow from.
Yeah.
So obviously I used the great ChatGPT to help me put this.
Of course you do, Uncle CGPT.
Thank you, OpenAI. We appreciate you guys. But so this is
OpenAI could sound rude, but anyway. Maybe you weren't listening properly, but anyway.
So
this is what I was listening.
This is to give people a pathway forward, you know. So I'm going to give you the top 2 for me, and this is literally what ChatGPT said. Barry's 4-step framework for winning in Africa. Get obsessed with your business model. Know exactly how you make money. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. So are you clear on your business model? Not are you clear on, not do you want to make money? There's a big difference. You know, we were involved in a big entrepreneurial development program before COVID. And we took 90 entrepreneurs. You remember 90 entrepreneurs through a 12-month program we ran with Coca-Cola. And you know, to start off with, it was fascinating, the amount of people so we had applications for people to join the program. And when we interviewed them, we asked them a question, what's your business? Do you know how many people said, well, what do you want my business to be? We said, what? If you tell us what you want us to supply, that'll be my business. So that was the one thing. So it was this case of, no, if I just have this entity that I register and you tell me you want bottles, then I'll have a bottle supply business.
Yeah.
Okay. So immediately, there's a huge disconnection to what a business really is. The second thing was, you know, so I have a business. So it was that I have a business and I'll do anything to get their business. And then the next thing was, you know, what's your structure of your business? What would you like to sell? No, I'll sell anything. I just want money. So people will start a business so they can have money. And then you say, okay, how are you going to make money?
Yeah.
No, well, you're going to tell me what I need to supply, and I'll supply it. How many? What? As many as you need. Where are you going to get the money from? So I think a lot of times, so that was on one extreme side. But even with many of my clients over the years that I work, and you know that in a lot of my programs, I'll ask, what's your business model? What's your business process? And I'm going to hazard a guess that if we were to really put a percentage on that, 90%, at least 90%,
Pretty high.
90% of small to medium business owners cannot articulate their very clear business process and how they make money. What do they do? How often do they have to do it? So I liken it to, if you're going to make a chocolate cake,
Yeah.
and you're a chocolate cake maker. Surely if I said, Sully, tell me how you make a chocolate cake, you'd be able to go, okay, Barry, let me tell you how I do it. So I do it like this. I go to the shop, I buy these ingredients. This is the ingredients I need. I don't use cocoa powder, I use real chocolate, I use because someone else could use cocoa powder, but does it make sense?
Yeah.
This is what I use. Then this is what I do. I sieve this, put this in, put the stove on, and it comes out the other side as a chocolate cake. I go, great. Sorry, if you need to make 10 chocolate cakes, could you duplicate that? Yes, I could. If you need to teach other people to make the same chocolate cakes as yours, could you do that? Yes, I could. You know, so in business, you see it in sales. Sorry, come in and be my sales guy. Excellent. What do I do? Garden sell. Garden sell how?
How much? Yeah.
So there's no pros. No, but you're a sales guy. You should know how to sell. What's your model? So
What do you do?
And if you don't know, what model are you going to develop and learn to develop so that you know exactly what you do? Okay, in this business, I know exactly the model that we use to put people in a room.
Yep.
Okay, why? Because I've been running it, developing it, and working on it for 19 years. And in my first 2 years in this business, that's exactly what I did. I measured it. And if you said to me, Barry, how do you make money in the public sales space? I can tell you.
Yeah.
A different model, and what that often does is avoid confusion. So, for example, when people were saying to me, "Oh, you should just go to these seminar guys and they'll put you on the stage," I went, "Great, that's not my model." Yes, I've spoken on lots of those stages, and yes, if business comes in from that and I get an opportunity to do that, great. But it's not my model. It's over and above my model. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's additional business. My model is very clear. I know my steps. I know how we do it, how often we have to do it, who we do it to, what our target market is. Then I can duplicate.
Yeah.
So when I move into different countries, when we grow in a different country, well, I can go in there and duplicate the model. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I duplicate the model. I make the same chocolate cake. Okay. Now, in order to do that, we may have to, instead we may have to import the cocoa because the cocoa is not made there. But at home, cocoa's made there.
Yeah.
We're still going to use cocoa. Does that make sense? And if we can't, we're then going to make an informed decision on whether our recipe will work or not.
Not whether or not we're going to change it.
No, whether our recipe will work or not. Then we can make that decision. So that first point is, be obsessed with understanding the model of your business. Then you can ramp it up.
Point number 2, your favorite one of them all. Master sales. Build a predictable, repeatable system.
Sales is the lifeblood of your business. So if you can't sell, I've heard this from Robert Kiyosaki in the years that I've spent time with him, is that the one thing that he's never ever stopped investing in learning is how to sell. And 2, that you cannot have a business if you can't sell. And again, many people have a warped understanding of what sales really is. And if you can't sell, you can't have a business. Sales is the fundamental life skill of any business.
Yeah.
No sales, no income, no life. Your business will die. Sales is the lifeblood of your business. As a business owner, your first and primary thing is to sell. You go onto any of those things, Dragon's Den, Shark Tank, or any of those things, one of the questions they ask 90% of the time to any of those people is, how much have you sold? How much have you sold? And if those people say, I haven't sold anything, most of the time there is no deal. Not interested.
Yeah.
Because if you can't go out and sell your own stuff, well, why would we put money into it? How much have you sold? How much money are you making? What are you doing? Great. Now we can invest in something that sells.
Why do you think, especially, and I feel like because I see it a lot in our rooms, I'm dad, I can't speak for Europe and Americas and stuff. But why do you think, like in South Africa specifically, people try to avoid sales and selling?
Because we're not taught. Because we have very misguided understanding of what selling is. Where were you taught? Where are you ever taught to sell? Were you
No.
taught to sell at school, university, college? No. So people fall into sales by accident. You ask them, how did you get into sales? No, I'm not a salesperson. I'm an accountant. No, but you're selling fund. Yeah, but so one is, we don't look at sales as this, as one, as a profession, but two, we don't look at sales as an essential life skill. That's my first book, and after spending time with Blair Singer,
Yeah.
and really, sales is a life skill. It's why? Because sales is the art of effective communication. And when you start a business, you need to be able to effectively communicate what your product or service can do for clients.
Yeah.
And when you effectively communicate what your product and service can do for clients, they will reciprocate your effective communication by buying. And you know that when they buy, you've effectively communicated, and it consistently happens. So if you can't effectively communicate, you're going to hit it now and again. So it's the art of effective communication. You want to build a team. You better be able to sell to your team. You better be able to effectively communicate to your team. You want to build suppliers. You better be able to effectively communicate to your suppliers. You want to borrow money. You better be able to effectively communicate to the bank.
Yeah.
You want to raise capital, find shareholders. It's all a game of sales. But we're not taught to sell. We're not taught to sell. In all my rooms, I ask how many people are actively learning how to sell, as in you are buying sales books, you are attending sales seminars. But you say to someone, you can get an MBA, or you can get another degree that I don't know, advance your ability to be promoted. They jump at that.
Yeah.
And even business owners. You say to business owners, where are you struggling the most? I'm not making any money. Well, come on a sales course. Yeah, when I have money. For fuck's sake, excuse my language. But if sales is the number one skill that you need, why would you not want to invest in learning how to sell?
That's true.
That
makes sense.
Because it is the skill.
It's your problem.
It's the biggest problem.
It's the thing that keeps you up at night.
If you have no money, it's because you can't sell.
Yeah.
Or you're not selling. And if you are expanding your business and your money's not coming in and you have cash flow problems, 99% of the time it's because you're not selling or your team's not selling.
Yeah.
You know, a weakness that I've seen in so many business owners. Yeah, I'm struggling to sell. I hire someone. Dude, you can sell. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. And then I don't know how to sell, but I expect you to get to sell, because you said on some CV, and you probably learnt about as much about sales as anyone else. Why? Because you decided to be a sales rep. If you were like Mary, you needed a job. So the first thing that came along was be a sales rep.
Yep.
And if I hadn't have pursued learning how to master the art of sales, I would have been like most sales reps in the world. I would have been in a job and hopefully learned something and been sent on a course and maybe read a book. And does that make sense?
Yep.
So the first and most fundamental skill is learn how to sell. If you want to create wealth, you have to learn how to make money. Then you have to learn how to make money. You know, someone said to me today, you know, I'm going to make millions. I'm like, how are you going to make millions? They looked at me. I said, tell me how you're going to make millions. If you ask me how am I going to make millions, can I tell you?
Yes.
I could give you a myriad of ways that I could do it. Whether I can do it or want to do it or I'm prepared to go through it. But I can design a model that can make me a million.
Yeah.
Then I got to look and go, okay, what's the time frame? Am I prepared to go through how hard it's going to be to do it? Do I want to walk that path? But I can tell you, I can design it and then decide how to do it. And I promise you that the first and most fundamental thing in that is the ability to sell.
Yeah.
It's just in my brain as I'm thinking about it. I'm going immediately, okay, what would I sell? Yeah. What would I sell? What would I sell? Where would I get it from? What capital would I need to get it? How many would I need to start off with? How could I access it? Could I access it without putting any capital up front? If I could access it without putting any capital up front, then and how quickly could I sell it so that I could recoup that? How quickly could I turn that money around? How many times would I need to do that? And then once I've developed the model myself, could I bring in other people to teach them how to do it? And that would expand to 1 million, 2 million, or whatever it would be over what period of time?
What do you think about, because like we speak a lot about like the importance of words and understanding words.
Yeah.
And you know it, you've heard it a lot. It's a big word in South Africa, big word in Africa. I'm a hustler. I'm hustling.
Yeah, I don't like the word hustler.
Why? What do you think it does
psychologically? What do I think hustler does? Well, one is I think I understand part of the hustler. My hustler word is that I'm out moving and shaking.
Yes.
I get that. But for me, a hustler, that what comes to mind, and this is just what comes to mind for me, and let me see that since I don't have my original. Oh, there it is. Okay, let's see if I can get in here. I'll give you the definition of when I think of hustler, because a lot of times what I'm hearing is people are out there hustling, and a lot of times people have this idea: I have my job, but I'm going to build this business. I'm going to build this side hustle. Well, my first take is you have a full-time job. Okay, I don't mind if you work for me full-time.
Yeah.
Full-time means X amount of hours, delivering results, doing that sort of stuff. Yes? Great. After hours, your own time on weekends when you're not needed in the business and you are delivering on what I'm paying you to deliver.
Yes.
Then I don't mind if you have a side hustle.
Okay.
But what I see a lot of times is, sadly, people have these side hustles to generate more income and they're not delivering on what they're getting paid to do. And then they're spending time during their business time building their side hustle at the expense of the business owner. Yeah. I think that's dishonest and I think it's unethical. Okay. If you want a side business, no problem. Don't do it during your hours of employment. Don't do it when you have commitment to other clients. You know, years ago, I built a fairly successful network marketing business over a couple of years. And I had a full-time contract with a client. That full-time contract, I used to get to work at 7:30 in the morning and finish at 5:30 in the evening when we shut our factory down. Okay. I never did my network marketing business in those hours. I never recruited anyone in our company. And after hours, once I'd finished, I went and did my side part-time business. But it was designed, network marketing is designed as a part-time business.
Yeah.
So people are trying to build full-time hustles part-time. You can't, it's not going to be successful. So that's one side. The other side is that this is one of the definitions of hustle. To push or convey in a hurried or rough manner. To sell or get by questionable or aggressive means. To sell or get by questionable or aggressive means. To pressure into buying or doing something. To misrepresent one's skill in a game or activity in order to deceive someone. To solicit customers, used of a pimp or a prostitute. To obtain something by deceitful or illicit means. Practice theft or swindling. Okay, the other positive sides of that are to move or act energetically and rapidly. To act aggressively, especially in business dealings. I don't want to act aggressively in business dealings. To push or force one's way. I don't want to push or force my way.
Yeah.
To obtain something by deceitful or illicit means. I don't want to do that in business. To misrepresent one's ability in order to deceive someone. Why would you want to hustle? I get it, to move or act energetically. But so, why hustle?
So I don't think, my thinking says to me that positive piece, that last piece, I do not think that most people are thinking about it like that. That's just my opinion. I think that it's actually more of the actual definition.
But think what happens when when these guys, people are out there with businesses hustling. They hustle so they can get money in their pocket,
Yeah.
stuff you.
Yeah.
But it's a hustle, dude.
And it's quick. And it happens so fast that you even like, wait, did I just actually pay for that? Freaking hell. I was forced.
Why? I get it. I get it. People want to survive and all that, but it becomes a way. And how long does that business last?
It's impossible. So
You know, I'm reading Sam Walton's biography at the moment.
yes.
Nowhere does he talk about I hustle to people. He went through the business of doing business and setting up a store and giving people value for money. Sure. Did he put on specials and did he connect with emotion about buying stuff?
Yeah.
I got it. That's very different.
Yeah, but you're not forced. But you're not forced to buy.
But this idea of I've got a side hustle. What tells me is when people say I have a side hustle, it means you've got something else that's keeping you alive, and while you're doing that, you're going to do something on the side because that's more important. And you know, in this business, as you know, if you work in this business, you have to declare if you have any other side businesses, side hustles. Why? Because I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know, is it competing with us? If it's competing with us, please leave, go somewhere else. Go open your own business. I don't mind if you do, but go. And two, I want to know how much time that side hustle is going to take versus how much money am I paying you to deliver on your side. And what I often see is the people that are doing those side things are not delivering on what they've been promised. And they are often the first people to complain about why the business is not working, this is not working, that's not working. And they're not the bosses an asshole, the owners this, and they're not the people, but they're doing side illicit stuff. So
my final question, and this I will own and say that I stole it from Diary of a CEO. I've spoken to you about it a little bit, but I want to hear your take on this.
Stephen Bartlett,
Diary of a CEO.
great book, man. What a great book.
Great freaking podcast, that's all.
Yeah, very good podcast.
So he had an episode where he had 3 entrepreneurs on,
Yeah.
and they had a option of 3 briefcases. Each briefcase had an amount of money in it, and what they would, with the knowledge that they currently had,
Yeah.
what would they do with the different amounts of money? So it's $1,000, $10,000, and $100,000. Which one did you pick? Which one would you pick? Why? And what would you do with it?
Okay, so with the knowledge I currently have,
Yes.
if I create the context that I'm starting my business,
Starting a business.
and someone says to me, you can have 1,000, 10,000, or 100,000, and I'm just starting, and I don't know much, and I'm starting to get going.
Yes.
I take 1,000.
Okay. Why?
One, because I know how to sell.
Okay.
I mitigate my risk. So let's say I have to pay that 1,000 back. I've immediately mitigated my risk because I've gone in small. 2, I know how to sell. So I'd take the 1,000 and I'd find products. So
Okay.
for example, I'd come to Barry, who's been in business for 19 years. I'd come and buy my book. I've spoken about this a couple of times. I'd buy Barry's book from him for 300 Rand, for example. I'd buy for 1,000, I can get 3 books. I'd buy 3 books because I have 1,000. I'd go and sell them at 400 Rand. I'd make 100 each. I'd put the 300 aside. I'd go do it again. In a week, I'd sell 9 books, 10 books.
Yep.
So in a week, I'd sell 10 books. Okay. I'd make 100 each. I've made my 1,000. I'd pay back the 1,000. So now I have no risk. I'm out of, I owe nobody anything. I then take the 1,000 that I'm left, because I made 1,000 profit. I take the 1,000 I'm left, I'd duplicate it again. But now I'd keep doubling. I'd buy 3 books, then sell them, buy 6 books, then sell them, then buy 12 books, then sell them 24 books, and sell them 48 books, and sell them. Within 2 or 3 months, if I keep duplicating that, let's say I duplicate 96 books, that's 200 books. I sell 200 books with $100 profit. I now have 20 grand.
Shit.
Okay. What I've done is I've learned to sell. I've learned to manage money. I've learned to pay off my debts. I've also learned to negotiate, because I can now go back to the book supplier and say, Barry, I bought 200 books from you now, more than 200 books now. Could I negotiate for a better price? So now I learned how to increase my gross profit. I built trust with my supplier. So then I say, Barry, you have another book. Could I start buying that as well.
Yeah.
Now I go back to the original 300 or 400 people I've sold my book to. I'd start selling the second one, and I'd duplicate my model. Does that? I owe nothing. I'm in the game, and I'm making money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because the risk is I take 100,000, and then I go buy all the nice things that I don't need because I have a misinformed idea of what it is to have a business.
Great business.
So the very first thing for me in any business is can you take some money and turn that money, and how many times can you turn it by growing that money? And if you look at that 1,000 in a space of 3 months, I don't know, just pick 3 months.
Yeah.
But if I built a model in my brain, I built a model in the space of 3 months, I can turn that into 20, 25, 30 grand. Now I have a model.
Yeah.
Now I could say,
you know.
hey, Suli, stop sitting at home and watching Netflix and off your ass. Come, dude, you want to make a bit of money?
Now you got
Now I have a model, and I can say, do you want to make money? Yes or no? Yes, I do. Excellent. Dude, I have a model. Can you follow my model? This is the model.
Yeah.
Okay. My model's this. Go find $1,000. I can't find $1,000, Barry. Okay, go sit and watch Netflix then. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I can go, can you find $1,000? Yes, I can. Good. You're going to find $1,000. Okay. What you're going to do is for that $1,000, you're going to take 3 books. You can have $80. I want $20.
Yeah.
So we do an 80-20 split or a 70-30 split.
Mm-hmm.
Now I teach you my model.
Yeah.
Now you're out, now I'm creating leverage. And over 12 months, I can duplicate that again and again and again. But you see, because people think I need money to have a business. No, you need a process, you need a business model, you need to understand it, and you need to be able to turn money. You need to be able to, and how do you turn money? You sell. And that's the core fundamental. Once you got that, you grow. And that's, so what was their answer?
10,000. All 3 of them.
So yeah, most people, when you ask that question, I bet you they say, oh, of course, I'll take 100,000. Because in their mind, oh, I have 100,000.
Yeah, and I think I don't think any of them actually said the thing that, no, wait, I think they did. I think Alex Hormozy actually said the thing that you said. You mitigate your risk, but you're only taking, he thought exactly the same way you thought. He went to, well, I'm going to have to pay this back immediately. And he was like, I take the 1,000 because I mitigate the amount that I need to pay back. And it means I have a shorter amount of time.
See, too many people are going to take the 100,000 because they want to hustle, and then they will hustle someone and they won't pay it back.
Yeah.
And then it'll be, oh, but it's the economy and it's the market and it's the government. It's all the bullshit that we put out there, instead of going, I actually didn't understand what I was doing with it.
Yeah.
Dude, but what about the nice car you bought? But I need a nice car. And the suit? Yeah, notice. And if I guarantee you, none of those guys went and said, buy new computers, get new offices, get a nice suit.
No,
they went, find product, find ownership. That's it.
They all said the same thing. And these are tech people. They weren't like, I'm going to go online. No, they literally went, I'm going to find product, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to do that probably 10 times, and then I will start to look at other things.
100%.
Firstly, at least sell.
At least 10 times.
At least 10 times.
But you build until you can build a model, and then you can duplicate it and replicate it.
Yeah.
And that's how you make money. But you got to be prepared to do the doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. Yeah, I think if you enjoyed this episode, as always, I'm always going to try and challenge you guys to do something. I think this episode should focus on, what is your business model?
Can I say something there? So what are you thinking? If you're while you're talking, sorry, I know you can't do 2 things at once. So I made a mistake while you were talking and not thinking. Now you can think while I'm talking.
Yes, thank you.
If you are a business owner out there, and you're at the stage where you have a team, and your business is going along, it could be going along quite nicely. You could be struggling, you could be getting really frustrated, but you have this team, and you know that wherever your business is sitting, there's a lot more that you can get out of your business. And right now, your biggest frustration is how to get your team to move to a whole new level. Well, I run a program called UGE. It's the Ultimate Greatness Experience. It's a program I learnt from Blair Singer and was privileged enough to be allowed to teach through Blair Singer, that I've been teaching and running for 19 years. I do it once a year, sometimes twice, but generally once a year in South Africa. It is focused for entrepreneurs, business owners, and senior managers that are trying to create new capacity and increased capacity and effectiveness for their teams, and reduce the frustration of doing probably the hardest thing to do in business, and that's build a team. I have a Ultimate Greatness experience coming up from the 20th to the 25th of September. I only have 4 seats left. Why? Because I have a maximum number of 40 people in the program. I only have 4 seats left. If you are that business owner and you think that there's something that could take you to another level, well, this might be it. Why don't you just comment next level or comment UGE, and we'll reach out to you to see if it's something that may benefit you. Not sure it is, but if it is, but it is one of the most powerful programs I ever did in my life, and that's why I teach it. So take your team to a whole new level. That's just a thought.
That's that. See you guys next week.